Some of the most common mistakes, there's really 5 common mistakes we see when people take when it comes to their 401ks. And right now, more than ever, with the volatility that we're seeing in the stock market, you need to sit down with a qualified financial advisor that can actively manage your 401k regardless of the company. We work with thousands of employees across the country to actively manage their 401k. And again, if you want to get a copy of our guide, you can go to thepensiongroup.com, download our retirement toolkit. And in that toolkit, it's going to go to the 5 most common 401k mistakes. It's going to get into pension errors, how pensions are calculated. But for our conversation today, we're going to talk just about the 5 most common 401k mistakes. And the first one is don't have a beneficiary on file. So make sure that when you, regardless if it's Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, whatever the case might be, make sure that you have a beneficiary on file. We've seen situations where people have gone through divorces and they still have their ex-spouse as beneficiary on their account. The second mistake we often see is that a lot of people don't maximize their match. So as an example, a lot of companies will give a 6% match when it comes to their 401k. Maybe they're only putting 3%. They're giving up 3% of free money. Or I've seen a lot of people for 20, 30 years working at corporations, and all of a sudden, they're not even contributing to their 401k. And if you think you're the average worker just out there making $50,000 a year and you put 6% of your money into 401k with a 6% match, over a 30-year period, that's over $100,000 of free money. So again, make sure that you contribute at least up to the match, if not more. The limits this year, if you're contributing to a 401k, you're under 50 years of age, you're roughly about $20,000, and if you're over 50, you have a catch-up provision. You can contribute up to $27,000 a year. The third mistake we see is not understanding the risks that people are taking. We've done a lot of reviews with clients, and we'll take a look at maybe a Vanguard 2030 fund as an example. And that primary fund is made up of roughly about 70% stocks, 30% in bonds. Now you might say, well, that's good overall. And as the market has continued to increase, throughout the year until these last 6 months, we've seen the market drop tremendously. What a lot of people don't realize is how much do you have in international, okay? And with international, these target date funds, you can't really control the amount in which you invest overseas. And typically, I don't mind, seeing, maybe, 10% in international, but these funds typically have about 38% of the portfolios is abroad. And 14 out of the last 15 years, international has underperformed U.S. domestic equity. So I'd rather see our clients being in domestic equities, being U.S., especially with what's going on now. So this is one of the areas that we see when we look at maybe taking too much risk. So on a pendulum, if you're not a pendulum, but if we look at someone that's conservative, someone that's moderate conservative, someone that would be moderate, maybe 50% stocks, 50% bonds, moderate growth, that's really where this fund lies overall. We see a lot of clients coming in that are in these target date funds that really don't understand the risks they're willing to take. And then you obviously have aggressive, but some of these clients are actually moderate conservative, meaning they should only have 30% in stocks because they're getting closer and closer to retirements, and 70% in bonds. So again, we try to understand the risk. And if you have a plan, not just in an account, we see a lot of people have different accounts. I got a 401k here, IRA here, I got this advisor, that advisor. That's not really a plan. Those are just accounts. And really what we try to do is establish an account. So when we look at the level of risk people are taking, this is one of the areas we find that needs to be evaluated. And do you want to really have this much in international? Most of our clients do not. The fourth area that we look into is what we call Brokerage Link. And really what Brokerage Link allows us to do is to actively manage your 401k. And again, if you want this guide, you can go to thepensiongroup.com, get the 5 most common 401k mistakes, or you can give our office a call at 614-423-4600. When we talk about Brokerage Link, this is where we work with a lot of our clients where we can actively manage your 401k. Companies like AT&T, Honda, AEP, Anheuser-Busch, Nationwide Insurance, Scott's Miracle-Gro. A lot of Fortune 100 companies today are actively allowing clients to look at other options. Think of it as a window inside of your 401k. So, with some of our institutional money managers, what we basically do is we can typically manage up to half. Other corporations were able to manage up to 100% of your 401k. It really just depends on the company. But Brokerage Link is really offered to anyone at any age, where we can actively manage the 401k. Some corporations will allow us to do 50%. Some will allow 100%. As an example, Honda, AT&T's 50%. We can manage the balance. Scott's Miracle-Gro, other companies are 100%. So it really depends on the plan documents. But what this allows us to do is, if we think of it as a pendulum, first of all, the 401k the majority of people are in is very limited as far as options when it comes to the investments. You might have 6 or 8 different options when it comes to your 401k, or then you're going to have those target date funds that we just talked about earlier. What this allows us to do is to introduce other institutional money managers like Meter, Pacific, Advisors Capital Management, Pacific Financial Group, Fidelity, BlackRock, just to name a couple of the other institutional money managers that we work with. But the difference of it is our institutional money managers, as the market decides to go down, if we have a tactical approach, our institutional team can move money from stocks to bonds. And we're going to go through a questionnaire to really get to know your situation. But Brokerage Link is one of the biggest things. We help clients who are maybe 5, 10, 15 years out, from retirement. But this is one of the core things. People want to protect this now more than ever because of all the volatility in the market. So again, if you have a question in regards to your 401k, whether or not we can manage it, we'll know. Certainly give our office a call, 614-423-4600, or visit thepensiongroup.com. And finally, our 5th mistake. A lot of people put a lot of money into what we consider to be pre-tax. And pre-tax, the majority of people that I retire, we talk about, 401ks that are pre-tax, or an IRA. When you pull money out, who do you have to pay? The joint owner of that account is really the IRS. Okay. So the bottom line of it is, when we look at pre-tax, you're getting a deduction today. And one of the things we really recommend to our clients is doing the after-tax, or what we call the Roth, okay, inside your 401k. Now, a lot of people think that they will not get a match if they have a 6% match from the company or 3% match. You can determine where you want your money to go as far as your contributions. You can have it go into pre-tax or after-tax. I'm a big believer of the Roth, simply because when you pull money out at retirement, this money is actually going to be tax-free. So when we look at this is one of the important things I really stress is, instead of accumulating everything pre-tax, how would we like to grow a tax-free bucket in retirement? And again, the limits that we look at it, if you're less than 50, you can put roughly $20,000 into your 401k. If you're over 50, you can put $27,000 into your 401k. So again, with the 5 mistakes, again, making sure that beneficiary is up to date. The second thing is making sure that risk profile is correct. We want to contribute at least up to the max. And again, considering different options. Again, HR is not going to tell you about these options about Brokerage Link, and or how to allocate. Should I be doing more in pre-tax, or should I be doing more in Roth? If you have questions like that, certainly give us a call, 614-423-4600, or visit thepensiongroup.com to learn more on how to protect one of your biggest nest eggs, your 401k. We look forward to the next episode. Talk to you then.